Welcome to ZKast, everybody. I'm Zeus Caraval from ZK Research, and I'm back as your host. I am joined today by a person at Cisco we're going to talk about digital transformation and great things. I think this person has the most interesting job in all of technology, so I'm a little jealous, guys. So Guy Diedrich, SVP and Global Innovation Officer at Cisco. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, thank you, Zeus. I run a program called Country Digital Acceleration. It is a program that we started about 6 years ago now, and it was response to meeting with global leaders, world leaders, who were introducing their national digital agendas for the first time. And they were really well thought out. They had spent a couple of years developing them. They had, in some cases, worked with a number of consultancies to get them just right. And when they introduced them, they stalled a bit, and they stalled because they didn't have an execution plan. And so Cisco stepped in, developed the Country Digital Acceleration Program to work directly with those presidents, prime ministers, and various ministries to create a national digital agenda, to develop execution plans and budgets so that they could get them going and get to the value of digitization faster.
Yeah, it seems tremendously exciting what you do. And before we dive into it, I do want to give a quick shout out to eWeek, my media sponsor. All ZKasts are done in conjunction with eWeek, so thank you so much for them. Give me an idea of exactly kind of the mechanics of the program, how it works, and what countries are you working with right now?
So we actually, when we come in, we sit down with that country leader. They have to be the sponsor, that president or prime minister. Now, we will end up working with all sorts of different ministries and all sorts of different agencies throughout government. And then we'll incorporate a number of private sector companies as well. We always like to work with local companies. And we select projects that are going to really move the needle for that country, that are really going to have the impact around transportation, smart and connected cities, education, healthcare, just about any vertical you can imagine, just about anything that can be digitized, we've done it. And our focus is on helping that country grow GDP, create next generation jobs, and to build a sustainable innovation ecosystem inside that country. So that's really the focus in our investments that we make. And these are direct investments by Cisco in the country. The investments we make are in proofs of concepts and pilots. So it's not our responsibility to select those. These align specifically to the national digital agendas of the country. We make those investments and we prove out the concept. And then, of course, the country will be responsible for scaling and replicating.
So can you give me an example of some of the countries and some of the projects? Can you get
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we actually work with 44 countries around the world. But it's not all the usual suspects, we certainly have the US, UK, Italy, Germany, India, but we also have Israel, Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. We have a lot of small developing, small developed, large developing, and large developed countries. And just some examples of projects from ones that are truly impactful. I would think of the Port of Rotterdam as a really good example. We started working with the port a few years ago with the objective of creating a digital twin for that port and allowing them by 2030 to be the first port in the world to receive an autonomous ship. That is a ship that can leave a location, make their destination the Port of Rotterdam, and there is zero human interaction throughout that entire journey. Very complex, requires a lot of partners, but a very substantial example. Another one that would be on the other end of the spectrum was in Palghar, India, where this is a small village 2.5 hours outside of Mumbai, and they were unconnected to the world. They are a typical small village that you could imagine in India. You may have been to some, ZS, where it's dirt roads, it's dilapidated homes. It's a central wash trough for all of the laundry. And we connected them for the first time. We put up a tower and some Cisco kit on top, pulled the last mile of fiber. And now the girls in that village that go to the girls' school there are going to be connected to the internet for the first time. They're not going to be relegated to that village. They're going to be able to be doctors and lawyers and engineers and scientists and analysts and work for Cisco. They're going to be whatever they want to be. And it's because we were able to connect them. So there's just, as I say, we have done over 1,000 projects, Zias, since we started the program, and they are straight across the full spectrum.
Well, who doesn't want to be an analyst? So, and that last story you gave was pretty interesting because I know Cisco is, your leadership has been saying for a long time, there's the great equalizer in the world is internet and education. And in a lot of those places, you can't really get education without the internet. And so, kudos to you and your team to make such a big difference here. Now, I know a lot of the companies that I work with, a lot of the vendors have city, state, and local government and federal government programs. I meet with the SLED leader, of the organization sometimes. And so what's the main difference here between what you're doing and what you might see other companies doing?
I think first and foremost is the fact that we're not coming in to sell anything. We're coming in to partner with the leadership of that country to help them get to the value of digitization faster. We do not inflict our own ideas on their national digital agenda. They have already defined what's going to grow GDP and create those next generation jobs. And we just come in and enable those and accelerate those. And so it truly is a partnership. And the other thing that I think is a real driver is it aligns perfectly with our mission to empower an inclusive future for all. And that is one of those things that is built into Cisco DNA. And this program actually allows us to exercise that purpose in the real world and have an impact. And I think the last thing, Zias, is that this is truly a partnership born out of trust. So if you think about trust, trust is born out of a shared vulnerability. So Cisco is coming in and saying, we're going to work with you without any expectation of return other than your success. And we're going to help you digitize. That country in turn is looking to Cisco and making themselves vulnerable by saying, we are going to go with Cisco to help us digitize the country. Perhaps the most important decision that we're going to make between now and 2030. Certainly the most important decision of the digital age is selecting that partner to work with. And needless to say, we're honored every single time a country picks us. And we now have 44. And it's that shared vulnerability that allows us to build trust. And I'll tell you, Zias, that trust is rock solid with each one of those countries.
Well, 44 countries and over 1,000 projects is a pretty big sample size. And so what's you've been doing this for a while, what's the feedback been like for those countries that have been participating?
Well, it's been outstanding. I mean, the best indicators is that all 44 countries are still a part of the program. We have had not a single country leave the program. In fact, what we have seen is a lot of countries come back and say, can we please keep doing this? Because we make investments for a 3-year period in a country. And then the program comes to an end. Well, that hasn't happened in any one country yet. They have all come back and said, can we please keep this going? And so Cisco will double down in a lot of countries, make a second round of investment, or even a third and fourth round of investment in some of our most mature countries. So the feedback has been spectacular, and they truly feel like they have that trusted technology and partner for the digital age.
And do you find, you had mentioned working with some of the local businesses, in those countries. Do you find there's a trickle-down effect that those businesses take their lead from the government and will actually go through their own transformation projects as a way to keep in lockstep with what the government entities are doing?
Yeah, I think what you find, and it all depends on the country, of course, but I think what you'll find is that as long as the country is putting out a vision for the future that the private sector can get behind, they understand the impact that it's going to have on that country, they understand their role in making that happen, they absolutely get behind it. And we have seen incredible trickle down. In fact, 70% of the projects that we do are related to government related projects. It's now as many as 30% of the projects that we're doing inside a country are a result of a private sector engagement.
Well, that's it's an interesting spin on trickle down economics without getting too political here. So that it's fascinating though that you're having that kind of impact both at a government and a business level. Now, as far as impact goes, for the citizens of those countries, what kind of impact are they seeing?
Well, now you're getting to the meat of the matter, right? You're getting to the real value proposition, and that's the impact that we have for people on the ground. If you are a citizen and you need access to government services, and you live in a region that isn't even connected, then you can become a part of this program instantly. I mean, one of our key areas is connecting the unconnected, bridging that digital divide that you know so well and that we experience every day. When you are unconnected, you do not have access to first quality healthcare, first quality education. You don't have access to those government services. And effectively, you don't get to contribute to the overall economy of the country in a way that you certainly could if you were connected. And I've said it before that in the information age, we did a really good job connecting as much of the world as we could and as fast as we could. Of course, Cisco connected the world. So, and to this day, almost 70% of the world's traffic still passes through our equipment that has been out there. At the same time, in the digital age, we have 40% of the world, ZKast, that is not connected.
Yeah, that's shocking.
And if we connected that 40%, then we would instantly lift 500 million people out of poverty, and we would contribute $6.7 trillion to global GDP. So it's not just the right thing to do, it's an economically prudent and smart thing to do. And so we aim in the digital age, ZKast, to connect everyone in the world. And there's no excuse this time. Everyone should be connected in the digital age.
Yeah, well, it is the right thing to do. And, kudos to you guys for doing that. You had mentioned before the Cisco's mission that was laid out by Chuck Robbins, I think a few years ago now, on powering Cisco's mission of powering an inclusive future. So tell us how what you do with CDA maps into that mission.
Yeah, it basically is the manifestation of Cisco's purpose on the ground, right? It's not on paper, it's on the ground. It's where we are executing and having that impact and really moving the needle for those countries. So for instance, power, right? What are we talking about here? We're talking about delivering tech that securely powers the world's connectivity. It's making sure that those people have secure, adequate power to be able to enjoy the fruits of the internet. Inclusive is all about scaling digital-driven development. It's about making sure that we truly connect those that are unconnected and that we give equitable access and opportunity for all. By future, it's ensuring a sustainable and regenerative planet. Cisco has pledged as a company to be net zero as a company by 2040. We already in the United States generate 100% of our power from renewable sources. So we're already a long way down that road, but we can carry that knowledge and that commitment to not just other countries, but all of our customers and suppliers as well. And then for all is referring to the multiplier effect. It's making sure that we can impact the largest number of people possible. And when you have 44 countries, which we have in our program, that represent 75% of global GDP and 60% of the world's population, you can really have an impact.
Yeah, well, it's been said that the pandemic created almost a global reset on the world. It sounds like the work you were doing is actually already had that reset underway. So hopefully it's accelerated a little bit for you. So thanks for the update on what you're doing with CDA. What's next for this program?
I think the primary driver for us is going to be expanding the program. And there are a lot of countries that are in the pipeline as we speak that we're reviewing for inclusion in the program. And there's also a lot of countries that are signing up for a second, third, and fourth round of investment, as I referenced earlier. But the third thing is really a new focus for the program. We have our key pillars. Our key pillars of almost every investment we make are around research and education, business and innovation, digital platforms for economic development, and infrastructure. We have now added a fifth, which is sustainability. You're finding all around the world, almost in unison, the leaders of our 44 countries in the program saying sustainability is a new priority and one that we are going to commit to. And of course, in order to do that, you've got to have investments and programs and projects that help drive that. That is a big part of what CDA is going to be investing in moving forward.
Well, Guy, thanks for the update and what's next. I've been quoted, and I've said this before, that if this world's going to change and we're going to solve some of the biggest challenges, it's not just up to the government leaders, but also the largest companies in the world, like Cisco, need to step up and do something about it. And it seems like you are. But I'll finish this with what I said. I think you have the best job in tech. There's a lot of people jealous. It must be awesome to wake up every morning and just know the impact that you're having globally.
It is such an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege, not just to have this job, to work for this company. You know Cisco as well as anybody. The company keeps its purpose in its DNA. It's what we do around the world. And the fact that this program gets to be the manifestation of that purpose on the ground, really impacting lives, gives us such pleasure. So thank you very much.
No, well, and thank you. And, keep up the good work. And I'm, as I travel around the world globally, I think last time we met, we were in Dubai. I'm really looking forward to seeing the impact Cisco's having around the world. So on behalf of Guy Diedrich from Cisco Systems, I'm ZKast from ZK Research. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click to subscribe.